I'm Guy Costantini, VP of Global Interactive Marketing for Skydance, and we're showing The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners.
Can you give us an overview about the game?
Yeah, so in The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners, you play the role of the tourist. You are thrust in what is post-apocalyptic New Orleans. In the world of The Walking Dead that we wrote together in collaboration with Skybound, you are basically going to get to choose what you do in New Orleans and how you behave, how you comport yourself, and what happens to the city of New Orleans in a lot of ways through your actions. It's a game all about flexibility and choice. There's a lot of scavenging, there's a lot of crafting, there's a lot of difficult decisions to make with people. As we know, The Walking Dead, there's a lot of walkers. There's some pretty good combat going on in there, but walkers are kind of, they're just there, right? Like, the people are the real problem. And so that's exactly what this game is about. It's about making the right choices. It's never really a 100% right choice. And just, about exploring this locale and figuring out the mystery that is causing this massive conflict between the factions that are vying over control of New Orleans.
How has the fan response been on the floor so far?
It's been amazing, really, really positive, really encouraging. People are sort of blown away. We knew we were onto something special because we tried to kind of really get to the next level of VR gaming. We have a game that's really deep, really large, and we tried to cram a lot of it into like a 15-minute session. So we're throwing a lot of information at people, and they seem to love it. So it's awesome.
How much of your creativity is allowed to be put into the game?
Well, Skybound is a great partner. The way they operate is they are very familiar with writing rooms, of course. We make movies and TV. We're very familiar, so we started with a collaborative writing room together. That's how we started the story. Everything that we do, we talk with them on basically a weekly basis to make sure that it lines up with the larger Walking Dead storyline. And at the same time, they understand that to tell a great story, you have to give creative freedom to your partners. So they've been really great about allowing us to kind of craft our own path in the world of The Walking Dead.
So what about New Orleans, would be a great place to have a Walking Dead game in?
We feel that New Orleans is steeped in so much culture. It's so beautiful to look at. It's a great world that we felt we could allow you to step into. We were huge fans of the Walking Dead franchise, of course. I think that one thing that you haven't been able to do in the past is really step through the screen and be inside that world. And so we wanted to build that. We wanted to build something that really felt like you would have agency and you could make the decisions that in the past you saw other people make. And so that's why we picked New Orleans. We also thought it was unexplored. It hadn't been shown before. We know that fans of The Walking Dead are very excited when there's a new story. We are excited about writing a brand new story. There's a couple of Easter eggs in there that if you dig hard enough you can find and kind of tie all the world of The Walking Dead together. But it's about really discovering what this mystery is, what is going on in New Orleans, and exactly how are you going to live with the choices you have to make to discover what's up.
There have been many Walking Dead games, from Telltale to other companies trying to do their part. What about this experience differs from other Walking Dead games?
Well, I think that you will find the deepest and most tactile experience you can have in any Walking Dead game. You're not just making decisions on a story. You're not just engaging in combat, and you're not just watching something on a flat screen. You're actually stepping through the screen. You're undertaking a role that is you, right? Like the role is, who are you going to choose to be in this world? You're going to have a lot of characters you interact with. You're going to have factions you're going to side with or pit against each other. But in the end, it's about your story. And this is something that we felt hadn't been explored yet. You're going to go and find things in the world, break them apart, craft them into other things. You're going to crack a bottle on a walker's head and then stab him with it. That's the kind of stuff that you can only really do in VR to deliver the kind of feeling and experience that we wanted to give people that are fans of The Walking Dead, and people in general that are just fans of games. We're gamers at heart. We wanted to build a game that benefits from being in the world of The Walking Dead, but in general is just an amazing game to play. So if you've never experienced The Walking Dead, and you're just an avid gamer, you're going to love this game. That was our intent, right? So, and I think we've come a long way. Of course, we haven't shipped yet, so we're still hard at work trying to do that. And once we ship, we hope that everybody's really happy with what we did.
What are some ways to take out the walkers in the game that maybe that hasn't been seen before, or there's some cool ways other than just shooting zombies?
Well, let me tell you something. So you will learn a lot about how good you are at surviving in this game. For example, two-handed weapons look really cool, but they have limitations, right? They're heavy. Like, you have to swing them a certain way. They occupy both your hands. If you're in the dark in a house and it's claustrophobic, maybe you just want a knife and a flashlight, right? Maybe you lost your flashlight, or you lost your knife, or you lost your gun, and you're gonna grab a bottle from a counter, smash it, jab it into a walker. Maybe you're just gonna see a statue on a counter, use that to take out a walker. You're gonna have a bow and arrow. There's gonna be a lot of different types of weapons that you can play around with. Maybe you see a propane tank. Keep that in mind in case a herd comes your way, right? So there's a lot of environmental aspects to this game that if you just experiment a little, you'll find out, and they lend every experience to be a novel one. The parts of the world are programmatic, so every time you go out into the world of New Orleans, the walkers won't be in the same place, the gear won't be in the same place, the stuff that you're gonna loot, you're gonna have to work your way through houses, dig through the cupboards, go down in their basement and try to find materials that you can then use to really survive in this harsh environment. And that's, I think, the kind of stuff that you haven't seen so far. You're going to be making makeshift weapons, you're going to be taking weapons that are broken and repairing them, and I think that you'll end up with an arsenal if you play your cards right. But at the same time, you're going to have to keep yourself fed, so you're able to sustain yourself, you're going to keep yourself from getting disease. If you eat food in the wasteland and you don't actually take medicine, you can get sick. So there's a lot of kind of aspects there. There's traps that you can lay. There's, I think, this is a little bit of a spoiler, but there's an arrow called a noise arrow. You can use noise to attract walkers, so you can work around them. There's a little bit of stealth gameplay to it. Some weapons don't make noise, and they can be used for stealth kills. So these are a few of the things that I could talk about without giving away the whole game.
How long of a playtime are you guys aiming for this game?
So right now, we see the main storyline taking an average player 15 hours at least. You can spend a lot more time exploring the world, discovering all the Easter eggs, and in general, just trying to see how long you can survive. But that's sort of the best answer to that question.
Cool. So for non-Walking Dead fans, would this game appeal to them?
Yeah, I mean, if you like exploration, if you like survival, if you like combat, if you like making hard decisions and unraveling a mystery, these are all things that will appeal to you regardless of whether or not you're a Walking Dead fan. One of the things we love about the Walking Dead universe is that it's a universe where the true nature of humans, when put in difficult situations, rises out to surprising results. And that's something that I think is appealing to anyone, right? So a lot of times you'll make decisions and later discover that they were the wrong decision. You're gonna have to live with the consequences. Or you'll make the right decision, but you'll realize that the right decision ended up hurting a lot of people. And so nothing is black and white, and we love to give people the opportunity to make those choices and see how they play out and how happy they are with it. It's pretty replayable too, because you can go back and try and see if you can solve the situation in a different way. So it's something that we think really answers a question that a lot of people in VR have wanted for a very long time, which is like, can I have a game that feels like a deep, full game when I put on the VR headset? A game that has really been built to be a full game, and it just happens to be in VR. And so that's something that we aim to deliver.
Why Saints and Sinners? Why that title?
So there's a lot of reasons for it, but I think that obviously people in New Orleans have the Saints in their heart. But I think that the true nature of it is this is a game about choice. It's about who you are. The choices aren't binary. Although the title may make it sound binary, it's really about picking the paths that lead you in life. And so we thought that Saints and Sinners had a great ring to it. I think it also is steeped in the culture of New Orleans and the tradition that you get to explore when you go in the different quarters that we're allowing you to visit. So we thought it was a pretty decent way to let people remember it.
How have you guys used audio in this game? Considering it's a VR game, you want to immerse people. Is there any audio cues or cool audio tricks that you guys use to maybe immerse the player in?
Yeah, so actually, great that you brought it up. So obviously I spoke about how you can use audio to route walkers. You can use audio for a bunch of different reasons, but one thing that we have is volumetric audio in this game. And what that does is it allows you, for example, if you close the doors when you go into a house, the sounds in the house coming from the house will be more muffled. So if you fire weapons inside the house with closed doors, you're less likely to attract walkers to the house. Also, it'll take the walkers a longer time to get in the house because they have to knock down the doors. As a good example, you'll also hear from far away what people are talking when people are talking to each other, so you may be able to spy on them without engaging with them. sort of suss out the situation before you get into it. So this is just a couple of examples of how you can use audio to your advantage, and how being in VR, the volumetric audio really makes you feel more like you're there, right? So for example, in the demo that we've actually been showing, you arrive upon a group of people that are trying to decide who to execute. And you could hear what they're saying, and from behind the corner, you don't have to go out and talk to them. You can just make your decision before engaging with them based on what they're saying, and find out who they really are that way. It plays into your decision making, and we feel it adds an extra layer to the game.
So when do you guys plan on releasing, and for what platforms?
So we're releasing on January 23rd, 2020. We haven't announced the platforms yet. Obviously, people who played it have played it on a couple of different platforms, but we're trying to figure out all the platforms that we can get it to by January 23rd. We'll be announcing that later this year, and so stay tuned. The only thing that I'd like to mention is, it's really about who you are. That's what the game is about. So, grab a knife, grab a gun, grab a bow, and show us what you're made of in The Walking Dead.